Hello everyone, and welcome back to Transformers Month. We all know what we get when the Asylum tries to rip off Michael Bay, right?
Bullshit!
Yes, exactly. But what happens when you have a rival toy company try to cash in on the Transformers craze back when they were at their height of their popularity back in the 1980s? You get Robotix. Robotix was a construction toy by Milton Bradley that let you build spaceships, robots, and any other motorized marvels your imagination could come up with. Sadly, the toy didn't exactly take off the same way that the Transformers did, but at least it managed to squeeze out a series of animated shorts that would eventually be compiled into a direct-to-video movie, which is what we're looking at today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's take a look at the most disappointing robot toy commercial since the GoBots. This is Robotix the Movie. Our movie opens with a crew of space explorers, led by this guy named Exeter.
Dog Exeter.
They're on the run from an Imperial Star Destroyer for some reason, and they crash on a nearby planet. And within seconds, giant robots come out from the ground and start fighting each other. Well, gotta give this movie some points for getting right to the chase, I guess. And in a bizarre twist, the main bad guy here is voiced by Optimus Prime himself, Peter Cullen.
The war shall rage until CompuCore is mine.
So the bad robots suddenly leave after only 2 minutes of fighting, and the Protectons here offer to help repair the ship so that the humans can leave as quickly as possible. Nice of them to help out, but are there any smaller robots who could lend a gripper? I wouldn't want a bulldozer to help clean my bedroom, is all I'm saying. In the course of their reconstruction, one of the robots nonchalantly lowers a cockpit, and our Daniel Witwicky knockoff hops inside.
Whoa. What's happening?
A little boy just entered a woman without her consent. Mwah! Good night, everybody!
Let's try this one. Hey!
How the heck is she doing that?
Yeah, the weird thing about these particular robots is that they can only do so much on their own, but when they interface with a human pilot, they apparently have a lot more functions that they didn't even know about. How the hell do you build a robot and not know what it does? That's almost as stupid as making a prequel to a movie that you obviously never even saw yourself. But the bad robots, called Terracores, suddenly attack again, but the Protectons find that they make much better fighters if they interface with humans too. Yes, interfacing with alien beings who are completely unfamiliar with your technology and have no fighting skills that you're aware of would naturally make you better fighters. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Hell, let's not even talk about them being more proficient at anything. What's stopping these people from just being contradictory to what the robots want to do? Come on, we have to guard the ship.
No, we must join the battle.
Our best strategy is to shut them down from the inside.
And I say we're better off attacking them head on.
I think I'll be having the salad with my dinner.
We're getting the soup, damn it!
And not only do they become better fighters, but interfacing also makes them transform. Yeah, no way they could do that on their own. So the Terracores run away again, what a bunch of pusses, and the Protectons give their backstory. Apparently, the Protectons and Terracores were two different species constantly fighting for dominance, but when their dying sun threatened all life on their planet, the Terracores, led by a guy named Nemesis, subtle, build a massive spaceship to let them migrate to another star system. Argus, leader of the Protectons, proposed that they all go into suspended animation deep underground, and they all did just that. And I hate to side with the villain here, but what exactly is going into hibernation gonna do? Yes, you'll survive whatever damage the sun will inflict upon the planet, but you'll still end up with no sun. How are you going to survive without any heat or food? Anyway, the human ship crashing caused this supercomputer, CompuCore, to transfer the essences of some of the Protectons and Terracores into these giant machines they call Robotix.
What has happened to me? I have become a Robotix!
Wouldn't it make more sense to just keep everyone neatly locked away in their hibernation capsules? I mean, this way you're only exposing them to the outside world and the dangers of the irradiated environment and the aliens that you know absolutely nothing about. Why would you do all of that?
Because it's cool.
And if, for whatever reason, it was absolutely necessary for them to be transferred into robotic bodies, again, I have to ask, Were there really no smaller robots they could have used? Aside from being new characters in Pacific Rim 2, I don't really see how being giants is a better idea than being a regular size. Nemesis wants to take CompuCore to control his spaceship. They begin fighting, and that leads us to where we first started. Now that everyone's up to speed, they continue repairing their ship, during a nice sunny day where there isn't supposed to be any sun. But General Zod here thinks it would just be easier to use the ship that the Terracores built, and he and some other deserters form an alliance with the Terracores. And again, it's really easy for me to side with the villains here, since the Protectons take a break from helping the spaceship repair, and instead spend a bunch of time and resources building a new Robotix for one of their other friends. Guys, he's safely tucked away in CompuCore. Not only is he now exposed to the dangers of the outside world, but you're also keeping the humans here longer than you need them to. What, were they afraid of one of the other humans feeling left out because they don't have a new toy to play with? I think they would much prefer a functioning spaceship. So they managed to fix the ship and take off, leaving the Protectons alone to fight the Terracores, who are now interfaced with Zod and the Deserters. Ooh, Zod and the Deserters. I need to make that a metal band. But Exeter and his crew fly back and completely destroy their ship so they can help the Protectons. Thanks for the help, Protectons. Now we can help you in your fight against the Terracores and only delay your inevitable destruction until we die of starvation in a couple of weeks if we're lucky. God, we're smart spacemen. Yes, noble of you to go back to help, but saving the lives of your crew is supposed to be your first priority is all I'm saying. So they interface with the Protectons again, and start kicking Terracore ass. Shouldn't interfacing simply put them on an even keel with the Terracores? And for that matter, why aren't the Terracores focusing their attacks on the Protectons' cockpits? You know, make it impossible for them to ever interface again? If you know your enemy's weak spot, you're supposed to exploit the ever-loving crap out of it. After the Terracores retreat, again, CompuCore seeks out a new source of food for the humans, which they find in the bottom of a volcano. Of course! Don't you know anything about science? The Protectons go to get the food, leaving Argus behind. Nemesis breaks in and orders CompuCore to erase Argus's mind, and then replaces it with that of another Terracore. I think we're supposed to be shocked or saddened by Argus's demise, but considering how easy it was to beat the Terracores in the past, I just feel kind of embarrassed for him, really. They make off with CompuCore, but when the Protectons chase them down, I guess they just drop CompuCore in their escape. Don't you just love it when a movie can't decide if its characters are brilliant or idiots? I don't. So with CompuCore and Argus's body back in their possession, they bring him back since, of course, CompuCore happened to have a backup copy of Argus's essence. Good to know that mortality is just that big of a deal in this movie. They regroup at the ruins of an ancient Protecton city, and the Terracores find that their spaceship is equally in ruins. They then go back to get CompuCore, because immediately trying to get it back after they first lose it would just be stupid, and they run off again after another pointless fight scene. Are you sensing a pattern here? They find more robotics parts, and instead of using them to build the humans a new ship, they decide to build another robotics again! Oh my god, the movie's just repeating itself! They go off to a nearby factory to get more parts to finish this robotics, but the Terracores have turned it into a massive death trap. Meanwhile, Not Daniel and this other guy stay behind to finish the robotics themselves without the extra parts that the rest of the crew went to retrieve.
If we do a good enough job, maybe Exeter will let me keep him.
Not Daniel goes off to save his friends, leaving CompuCore unguarded, not like it matters. But he gets all pissy when Exeter tells him that he can't keep the new robotics, and he runs away in a spare shuttlecraft and crashes it near the wreckage of the Terracore's spaceship. Yeah, why exactly was this little moron part of the crew in the first place? Oh, and it seems that the Terracore's ship is just fine, and they decide that if they can't get CompuCore to control the ship, they're just as well off hooking up one of their compatriots to it. If an ordinary robotics works just as well as a supercomputer, then why didn't you just use one of the ordinary robotics in the first place? They don't even address it as a theory that may not even work. They just proceed without questioning it as if this was always a perfectly viable plan B. And for that matter, why are they still so determined to get their ship working at all? Their original plan was to find another inhabitable planet since their home planet could no longer sustain life, but the planet can still support life just fine. Whatever damage was inflicted when the sun went nova, which I can only assume didn't even actually happen since there's still plenty of sunshine, and they never address that this planet is revolving around a binary system or something, it's obvious that the damage didn't last. Why can't you just begin life anew as if nothing ever happened? God! But it turns out that a Robotix is not a substitute for a CompuCore, and the ship crashes. The Protectons show up, the Terracores run away, lather, rinse, repeat, and Not Daniel doesn't get the tar beaten out of him for being a little brat and putting himself and the rest of his crew in danger. They're just happy he's safe. They're the only ones. Both the Protectons and Terracores need to find some kind of crystals to replenish their energy, but before they can have another pointless fight scene that ends with the Terracores pussing out, they all get captured by these giant rock creatures who spend their free time melting things down, including the human spaceship that they somehow acquired off-screen. Of course, they manage to re-energize and escape before their volcano prison explodes, and we can add this to the list of subplots that ultimately do nothing for the movie. They go back to the Protecton City, and the Terracores manage to get CompuCore and not immediately lose it.
Oh no! They stole CompuCore!
And they'll use it to power TerraStar and wipe us clean off the face of this planet.
Why? Why would they do that? As far as we know, their only motivation through this entire movie was to simply find themselves a new planet. Why would they wipe you off of this one when that's their only motivation? Or did the movie just forget about what these characters are even doing here? They blow the Protecton City out of the sky. Yeah, what was the point of making it airborne? And when the Protectons try to board the ship, it flies off into space and loses them in the asteroid belt, which apparently lies in the planet's lower atmosphere, considering how quickly they got to it. Argus makes his way onto the ship, another boring fight scene ensues, and he and CompuCore make it safely down to the planet along with the rest of the humans and Protectons who also made it safely down to the planet. Was there ever any doubt? And the movie is so eager to end itself that it starts rolling the ending credits before Nemesis can even say, "I shall be avenged." So that was Robotix the movie. How does it hold up? It doesn't. The animation is your standard, sloppy Saturday morning cartoon fare. The story's a mess when it could have been a lot more simple. The characters are forgettable and pretty moronic when you get right down to it. Most of the fight scenes are pointless and just end up padding everything. And perhaps worst of all, this didn't make me want to go out and buy any of the toys. And Lord knows I'm pretty susceptible to TV shows that tell me to buy toy robots. When you have a 90-minute movie that gives you more room to explore these characters and the world in which they live, I'm supposed to be more impressed by that than I am the 30-second TV commercials. At the end of the day, this movie's just boring. But on the plus side, I suppose being just boring isn't exactly the worst thing that can happen to a Transformers knockoff, right? See you next time.
Subscribe, like, follow, comment.